In
LA.
the West
Yes.
Coast.
Yes, of course, in the West Coast and LA, California, and also in New York.
Mhm.
LA number one,
Yeah.
the biggest.
Los Angeles. Wow.
Yeah, LA. Second one is in New York.
New York.
Then the third in Frisco. I
Frisco.
think, yeah,
Where?
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah,
Oh.
and the fourth, Houston, maybe then bigger
Houston.
than in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago
Yeah.
is, it's like
And the rest,
I know.
the other state and in the capital of Washington D.C.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Jakarta is the capital, correct?
It's correct. Yeah.
And Indonesia is a mostly Muslim country.
Excuse me?
Is it Muslim?
Yeah, we predominantly Muslim, but we are not Islamic country.
Well,
Yeah.
salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Beautiful, beautiful.
We always do greeting or give greeting to the other region, our colleague, our friends. Even we are not Muslim, but we always say Assalamualaikum. We can say that.
Good, good. You know what? I've been working also a lot in the Muslim community. So now I kind of greet people. If I know that they're Muslim, I just say those assalamu alaikum,
Yeah,
you know, alaikum salam. So that's why I asked, so that I could greet, do the proper greeting.
yeah.
So I got a question. Would it be, if when I start my presentation, would it be okay for me to say assalamu alaikum?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes, of course, because
Beautiful.
our society also, most of them are Muslim as well in the Midwest, so that will be okay.
Okay, fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Let me tell you a story. I used to work for the U.S. State Department back in the day,
Ah,
long time ago. I used to work out of the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, Jamaica.
wow. You are part of diplomatic corps.
Yeah, I've got a little experience with that. But when I left I went back to D.C. because I was a contractor with the State Department. So when I left the D.C., there were a lot of job opportunities, and one of them was in Jakarta.
Mhm.
And I had applied to go to Jakarta, but I never got the job. And I wish I could have gotten that job because I was
Really?
really eager to go to Jakarta and to see the country and spend a few years there.
Maybe next time.
Maybe sometime I'll be able to travel to Indonesia.
Yeah. But why did you choose Jakarta?
What's that? Well, I saw the ad and I said, you know what, I would love to go to visit Jakarta. I did a little reading up on it. Been a long time, and I said, why not? Let's go. And I was married at the time, but we applied, and I guess competition was very, very, very a lot of competition, but I didn't get to go. But it's okay. I'm spending time with you guys now.
Good. But have you been around the region? I mean, in Southeast Asia?
You know what? Asia, I love to travel. And Asia is a country that I have not, I haven't been able to go to Asia, but my sister's been to Japan. I want to go to Japan. I want to go to Indonesia. I guess I was in Russia, so I guess part of Russia is in Asia and in Europe, but not proper. But I really like to do a visit out there because there's so much history and it's so diverse.
Right. So welcome, Pak Komandan. We have our police attaché from DC joining us, Mr. White.
Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Mr. White.
How are you?
I'm very good. And how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm having a good day. We're chatting over here, getting to know each other, and this I'm really enjoying the conversation.
Okay, so only first a very simple question. Have you been in Indonesia before?
We were just talking about that, and I was telling them that that many years ago, I used to work for the State Department, the U.S. State Department. So I used to work out of the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, Jamaica.
Oh,
And when I came back to the States, you know, because I was a contractor with the State Department, there was an opportunity to work in Jakarta. And I applied to see if I could get that job, but there was a lot of competition to go to Jakarta, and I wasn't able to make it. But maybe someday I'll go because I really wanted to go.
yeah. I think you don't need to go for like a special assignment or duty, but maybe you can go for special holiday.
Oh, that would be lovely. That would be lovely because
Yeah, maybe we have to still wait and see until this, this pandemic is quite making all of us become like a very concerned. So this COVID is also still a big concern in Indonesia and also here.
yeah.
So I hope that this will, I would say, like disappear soon, so you can go freely to Indonesia and enjoy everything, all places, all attraction in Indonesia.
Oh, I would love that. I would love it. Like I said, that's Asia is a part of the world that I would like to visit. I was telling your colleagues that I went to Russia, and I guess technically half of Russia is in Asia, and the other half is in Europe. But I want to go to. I really would love to go to Jakarta and just see the country and see the culture. And obviously, wherever I go, is try the food, eat the food.
Yeah, of course. That's the main thing. To know about the food, about the traditional, how we call it, specialities of the food. That's very special.
Oh, yeah, I would love that. And like I said, now that COVID, excuse me, now that COVID is, now people are traveling more. Maybe someday in the near future, I'll be able to visit your country.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I do hope you will have that opportunity to come.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me tell you, I'm originally from Costa Rica.
Oh,
So I was born in Costa Rica. I was raised in both countries. So I go back and forth.
okay.
Most people that wouldn't even guess that I was from Costa Rica.
And it's like myself, sometimes when uh, I went to the market, and then a lot of people, they will greet me with hola. It's not, like not hey. They thought that I'm maybe coming from that American side. So they call me, they greet me. It's not with hello.
Uh-huh.
And then try to speak in Spanish. So I said that I cannot speak in Spanish. I'm not coming from there.
Welcome, Detective French. How are you?
How are you?
You still
The sound.
still mute?
Yeah, you're still mute.
All right, there we go. You got me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. Yeah, you look very fresh, Detective French.
I have been with 10 and 11-year-olds since 9 o'clock this morning, running a program at one of the parks. So
Wow.
traffic was a little heavier coming back into the office so we can have this meeting. So
Wow. You're really a multitasking person, yeah?
yes, every day, all day.
Very good.
She's one of the hardest working people I know. Let me tell you that.
I see. Yeah, of course. So thank you for joining us on our webinar today, Detective French.
Thank you.
And of course,
Yeah,
you are one of our experts for our today's webinar, together with Mr. Wyatt and also our police attaché in Washington, D.C. has been also joining us in this webinar, Mr. Ari Laksmana. You can say hi to Brigadier General Police Ari Laksmana there.
Hello, how are you, sir?
How are you, Detective Sonia? How I call you Sonia or French?
You can call me Sonia. That would be fine.
Okay.
Are you from France, Sonia?
No, I'm from Puerto Rico.
The neighbor of Mr. White.
It's very diverse.
Well, she's Puerto Rico and I'm Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah.
So it's similar. It's easy to get it confused.
Yeah, it's like in Africa we have Zambia and Gambia.
Yes, exactly. That's the same thing. It's the same thing. So I didn't realize you're in DC.
Yes, I'm from DC.
How are things in DC?
Huh? Yeah, sorry.
How are things back in DC?
Oh, yeah. Here is now it's getting better, and I think it's already the mayor has already lifted the protocol. You know, she said that now we can be like a normal, but some still have some like special treatment. It's like in federal offices and then hospitals, schools, universities. They still have to keep this 3M protocol using mask and then wash the hand and also physical distancing. But mostly in the public places, uh, now we can be like in the normal life, including for the restaurant.
Mhm.
And we do hope this will be better because we are expecting that this year we will not miss again for the 4th of July, July 4th,
Right.
because I really missed last year, you know.
I hear you.
Because I enjoyed that celebration on 2019, you know, all together with every people gathering in the National Mall. We had a big celebration, and then last year it seems like we are missing something that's very important here in this.
Right. Oh, wow. Well, that's good. And you'll probably be getting the tourists back pretty soon too, right?
Yeah, of course.
When because I lived in DC for a while when I was at the State Department, I lived in Alexandria for a few years.
Alexandria, oh, don't mention about that place. It's very nice place because uh, I think Alexandria. We try to say like Alexandria in Egypt.
Yes.
So this is Alexandria in US.
So, gentlemen, Sonia, we would like to test one of our resource person's presentation just to check whether we got everything right. So we will start with the Sonia's presentation that's been sent to us. Just check whether everything will go smoothly.
They're going to run it for me correctly. Oh, thank you so much.
Look at that.
So will they be able to see me while this is up and we're sharing it live?
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right. Just want to know so I don't like start reading from something else because I have notes in front of me also. So I want to make sure that I don't miss anything today.
Yeah.
So, okay. Thank you very much.
The time allocation for each presenter will be around 15 minutes. And then we will continue with the question and answer session after all the presentations.
Okay.
So I see your presentation actually quite concise and very deep. We would be love to to have it when you present your materials. And Pak Ari will try also your presentation, Pak.
Yeah. From my side or from your side? Okay. I think this is from you. Okay, that's good.
This is
I
the
don't
one,
mind.
Pak?
Yeah, I don't mind. Yes,
Good.
this is from the host, from the operator. So.
Do you still want to operate by yourself or?
No. If you can do it, if you can do it for me, that's better for me because then I can focus on other things like Sonia did.
Okay, but Sonia, you do it by yourself, yeah? Because I don't know the pace of your presentation.
No, you could do it for me. You'll know. You'll be able to cue me when I finish reading the slide. I'll talk a little bit, and then I could always say, "Can you please give me the next slide?" We had some issues last week when I tried to do it. Every time I clicked on my end for the presentation, the slides weren't changing, and so I just want to make it. So I want to make sure that there's not something going on with my set here. That's why I went ahead and sent everything. So if I can just tell them next slide, that would be great. Thank you.
Glad to have your presentation sent to me, so we have a backup.
Yes, yes.
So
That
we
works
will
out great.
we'll be waiting for Nancy to join us, and as scheduled before, we will start everything at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock DC time, and we'll have about 2 hours for our webinars. And yes, feel free if there is any inputs on the time allocation for that. So before you start, I will introduce it to you.
For me, 15 minutes is more than enough. Pak. I think better if we can have more opportunity for Q&A session, because there's more.
Yeah, as Norman has said previously as well, so we will probably focusing on the question and answer, because I think that would be more productive than just having a one-way, sharing of information.
Yeah, I do agree.
Hello. Yeah, Miss Nancy, we are waiting for you. If you can join the Zoom. Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. Sonia, how are you? I'm Ri Mulakir, Consular of the Republic of Indonesia in Chicago. How are you doing?
Suaranya belum masuk ya? Belum punya Pak Mari belum
Mari.
masuk.
Ya, Pak Konjen kurang keras Pak Mari.
Ya,
Betul,
sudah.
si atasannya.
Saya telepon.
So, Detective Sonia, I've been several times in Chicago, especially attended a special conference, IA, International Association of
Police Association.
Police. Yeah.
That was a big conference
Yeah.
here. I worked it.
Yeah,
I was
there.
there. I was there
Oh,
too.
and I took some pictures also, especially about your old patrol car.
Oh
Because
yeah.
you display that car in front of the, it's like how we call it, it's like exhibition place.
Mhm.
It was very nice.
Oh.
It was well organized, and then I'm happy to come if you will have also that function again.
Oh, well, I will be in Washington, D.C. October 11th through the 17th for ceremonies with the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation, as well as the Chicago Police Department, honoring officers who have fallen in the line of duty. And this year we are putting 4 people on our wall from Chicago who passed away from COVID here. And so we had 4 officers pass away, and we are putting them on the wall in Washington, D.C. During those dates.
So
I will,
yeah, I will be very happy if we can have time for having some having coffee, and I will show you the best coffee in the DC. The coffee shop that is owned by the Indonesian. It's very well known now. It become 10 the most how we call it, the famous coffee in Washington DC. It is called Dua Coffee. Dua means 2 in Indonesian language, means 2. So Dua Coffee. It's very famous in here. So I if you have time, so maybe we can. I will show you, and we can try that coffee, special coffee, because all the coffee they are sent from Indonesia directly. So you can try all the Indonesian coffees, and also some Indonesian snacks, and some. It's not a big like a big food, but this is like a very traditional Indonesian. How call it, like a snack, or I don't know how to say, like a very traditional food, Indonesian, but it's not so so heavy. It's like food, so you can try also.
Okay, sounds good. You can email me. My email is at the end of my PowerPoint. If you email me, I'll gladly send you my dates. My primary position there is to escort the wives of the fallen officers. So they'll schedule my time. If I can get away, I will gladly come and have coffee with you, and looking forward to it because I've never had Indonesian coffee. So I'm
Great.
excited about that because I love
So
coffee.
maybe you have to try and then bring also some coffees from here to Chicago.
Commissioner Andrade, welcome to the webinar.
Hello,
It's
thank
our
you.
Consul General, Mr. Mary.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Nancy. How are you? I'm
Good,
Mary.
and yourself, it is my pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.
Sonia as well. How are you, Sonia? I'm Mary Binsar Semonagir. And Mr. Pak Norman again. How are you? And Pak Atpol, the General. How are you, Pak?
Fine, sir.
Nice to meet you all today.
So for your information, besides we invite participants through our Zoom meeting, this webinar also broadcasted publicly through YouTube channel, the Indonesian Consulate YouTube channel. So if you may inform your colleagues, so other than joining us via Zoom link, you can also follow this webinar through our YouTube channel. And we will start very shortly, as we've been scheduled before, at 3 o'clock Chicago time, 4 o'clock DC time. And we have already all the complete right now. We have Commissioner Nancy Andrade
Yes.
on the loop, Mr. Norman White, Detective Sonia French, our police attaché in DC, and also our distinguished gentleman here, our Consul General, and also our National President of the Indonesian Diaspora Network in the USA, Mr. Martino Tangkar. So if there's anything unclear regarding the arrangement of this webinar, please feel free to ask to us. And shortly we will start. If you agree with us, then we'll start our webinar. We got the presentation from Detective Sonia French and also our police attaché. Norman will directly explain when the time for him to present his presentation. And I would like also to ask Commissioner Andrade to give also brief remarks before the presentation by all of our resource persons. So hopefully that arrangement will be acceptable for all. Okay, so okay, good afternoon and welcome to the webinar on how to tackle hate crimes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. My name is Made Sintanajaya, and I'll be the moderator for our today's webinar. This webinar is held to discuss about hate crime and how to tackle it. And I'm very delighted to be accompanied by our beloved Consul General for the Republic of Indonesia in Chicago, Mr. Mary Binsar Sim. Good. And also the National President of the Indonesian Diaspora Network in USA, Mr. Martino Tangkar. This seminar live from the Indonesian Consulate General here in Chicago. Hate crime is a very interesting topic to be discussed following the unprecedented rise of this crime during the pandemic in 2020 and 2021. In fact, there have been reports that Indonesian been victim of this crime. But of course, we want that all communities here in Chicago to be safe, and therefore today's webinars aim at giving the community information so they can have the understanding what does it mean by hate crime, what should we do if we become the victim, and also what we can do together to fight this crime. In today's webinar, we have Commissioner Nancy Andrade and Mr. Norman White from the City of Chicago Commission on Human Relations, and Detective Sonia French from Department of Hate Crimes and Civil Rights Units, Chicago Police Department. As well as from DC, joining with us, our police attaché, Brigadier General Ari Laksamana Wijaya. So good afternoon to everyone. We have until 5 o'clock today's webinar, and we divided this webinar into two sections. First will be presentation section, and the second will be the question and answer sections. Each resource person have about 15 minutes to deliver a presentation. And for the question and answer, we have around 40 minutes or so until 5 o'clock this afternoon. Kindly all participants to mute or turn off their microphone and before being called to give presentation or to pose any questions. So before we start the presentation, first of all, I would like to invite our Consul General, Mr. Mary Binsar Simurangkir, to deliver his remark. But before, I would like to introduce a brief CV of our Consul General. Mr. Mary Binsar Simurangkir is a career diplomat. He joined Indonesian Foreign Service in 1993. His last assignment was as a head of bureau in our head of Bureau of Finance in our Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Indonesia, before assuming the role of Indonesian Consul General in Chicago on the 3rd of January 2020. Upon entering the Foreign Ministry, Mr. Simurangkir was assigned to the Bureau of Finance. He had also experience in Director General of ASEAN Cooperation, Director General of Multilateral Cooperation, and Director General of Information and Public Diplomacy in our ministry. His overseas assignments were as Head of Economic Division and Minister Consular in our embassy in Cairo, 2013-2016, First Secretary in Indonesian Embassy in Canberra, Australia, 2005-2009, and Second Secretary in Indonesian Embassy in London, United Kingdom, 1999-2003. Mr. Simurangkir managed economy, bilateral trade, and financial related issues throughout his career in the ministry. He successfully ushered not only 3 Egyptian companies to receive Prima Duta Award, given by the Indonesian government for outstanding trade partners, but also the Foreign Ministry to receive outstanding status for a yearly financial report from the Ministry of Finance in Indonesia. Mr. Simurangkir earned his Master of Public Policy from Saitama University in Japan in 1997. Without further ado, I would like to kindly invite Mr. Mary Binsal Simurangkir to deliver his remarks. The time is yours, sir.
Thank you, Pak Made. Good afternoon, Commissioner Ms. Nancy Andrade, Chair and Commission on Human Relations, City of Chicago. Mr. Norman White, Head Crimes Victim Advocate, Commission on Human Relations, City of Chicago, and also Detective Sonia Friends, Department of Hate Crimes and Civil Rights Unit, Chicago Police Department, and also our dear colleague, Brigadier General Ari Laksamana Wijaya, Police Attaché, the Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in Washington, D.C., and our colleague and my best friend as well, Mr. Martino Tangkar, National President, Indonesian Diaspora Network, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished participant of today's webinar, How to Tackle Hate Crimes. First of all, I would like to convey my highest appreciation and gratitude to all the distinguished resource persons for their willingness to participate in the webinar and to disseminate information about hate crimes to our Indonesian community who lives in Greater Chicago area. Secondly, hate crime is still a relevant topic to be discussed until now. The crime is on the rise and still frequently occur or happen in the community. Statistics has shown that hate crimes, in particular anti-Asian hate crime, have significantly increased in US-wide by nearly 150% during 2020. The number of cases reported remains high in the first quarter 2021. In the city like New York, the number of reported anti-Asian hate crimes rose from 13 to 42. In Illinois, including Chicago, based on the report by Stop Asian American and Pacific Islander hate, there were about 92 anti-Asian hate crime cases reported from March 2020 to February 2021. There was also a report in March 21st, 2021, that 2 Indonesian teenagers in the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, have become the victim of the hate crimes. They were slapped in the face and abused with a slur by a unknown person when waiting for the train at Philadelphia City Hall Station. Also, there was a mass shooting in Atlanta, Georgia on March 16, 2021, in which 8 people were killed, 6 of whom were Asian women. That was a grim reminder that hate crime is still a serious and dangerous crime. The Indonesian consulate in Chicago is very much concerned about the safety of the Indonesian citizen in the Greater Chicago area and also in the Midwest. There are about 800 Indonesian citizens live in Greater Chicago, and there were about 12,500 Indonesian citizens altogether live in the Midwest. The dissemination of information through this webinar is part of our commitment and efforts to ensure the safety and security of our beloved citizens who live in Chicago and also in the Midwest area. We want all members of our community to feel safe and protected. This afternoon, we are very lucky. Along with us, we have experts from the city Chicago and Chicago Police Department, as well as the Indonesian police, as our resource person to explain about hate crime. They will share information about hate crime and what we can do together to fight the crime. Through this webinar, it is expected that the participant could find useful information about hate crimes, including practical tips, not only to mitigate, but also how to avoid the crime. Through this webinar, I would like also to encourage the Indonesian community in the US, especially in Chicago and in the Midwest area, not to incite hate crimes and actively involve in community activities to prevent hate crimes. For those members of our community who happen or experience to be the victim of hate crimes or witness of hate crimes, we always encourage them to report it to the relevant authorities. In this opportunity, I would like to pay my concern about the ongoing mass shooting and gun violence, which currently occur in unprecedented time and location in Chicago and other cities in the Midwest in particular. In that regards, the Indonesian Consulate highly appreciates efforts and action that had been taken by the US government in fighting mass shooting and gun violence. We do hope that conducive situation could be maintained and further improved. We understand that concerted efforts are also important in tackling security issues such as hate crimes and gun violence. And therefore, the Indonesian Consulate General in Chicago, together with the Indonesian community in the Midwest, stand ready to support efforts to tackle those problems by promoting anti-hate crimes and anti-violence among community in the Midwest. Thank you and have a good webinar.
So thank you very much, Consul General Mary Binsas Simurangkir, for your very excellent remarks to open today's webinar. So next, I would like to inform that this webinar is held in partnership with our colleague from the Indonesian Diaspora Network USA, because without their relentless effort in contacting all the resource persons, this webinar is impossible to be happen. Indonesian diaspora also play significant part in the communities in Chicago and also in the Midwest area. As has been mentioned by our Consul General, there are about 800 citizens in Chicago area and 12,000 citizens across the Midwest. Of course, we want them to be always safe and secure from the hate crimes. And in that regard, representing the Indonesian Diaspora Network in the USA, Mr. Martin Otankar will give his introductions and gratitudes to all the resource persons and also the participants. Mr. Martino, the time is yours.
Thank you, Pak Madi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Good afternoon, everyone. We are glad to have all of you in this informative webinar. This webinar will be a useful learning and training tools for everyone. Hate crime topic has been a hot topic lately, especially during anti-Asian hate crime few months ago. Following overwhelming support from both chambers of Congress, President Joe Biden signed legislation last month on May 20th that addressed hate crimes throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, with particular emphasis on the increase of violence against Asian Americans. The legislation introduced by Congressman Chris Meng and Senator Masih Hirono, also Congresswoman Judy Chu, Senator Tammy Duckworth, and many others. We are delighted to have some key people as our speakers who are very resourceful. Thanks so much for making this happen. So we can learn from the experts who are also the first hand to know about hate crimes related issues. My role is to bridge, as we all know that we have relationship between government to government or G2G, government to community G2C, and community to community C2C. I just fill the gap and representing the community. This virtual webinar will benefit everyone, not only Indonesian community, but also community at large, who watch this streaming right now or later after the recording. Some audience probably not reside in city of Chicago. However, the general framework can be implemented with some adjustments on your local conditions. Special thanks to Commissioner Chair Nancy Andrade of the City of Chicago Commission of Human Relations that can join with us today. Mr. Norman White, hate crimes victim advocate of the City of Chicago Commission of Human Relations, who have been working with me to make this happen, and also Detective Sonia Friends, Department of Hate Crimes and Civil Rights Units of the Chicago Police Department, who has 23 years experience in this field. At this wonderful time, we also have Police Attaché Brigadier General Ari Laksmana Wijaya of the Indonesian Embassy at Washington, D.C. And it's a coincidence that today we are also celebrating Hari Bayangkara, that is Indonesian National Police Day in Indonesia on July 1st. Dirgahayu Bayangkara, Pak Brigjen Ari. We also want to acknowledge that this webinar is also a partnership between Indonesian Consulate General in Chicago and Indonesian Diaspora Network in USA, with tremendous support from our own Consul General, Mr. Mary Binsar Simorangkir, and also Mr. Made Priyadi Sentanajaya, Consul for Protocol and Consular Affairs of the Indonesian Consulate in Chicago, who also will be the moderator of this webinar. Last but not least, we also would like to acknowledge our sincere gratitude to all audience, volunteers, and consulate staff. Without them, this webinar won't be meaningful and fruitful. Much appreciated and enjoy this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martino Tangkar from the Indonesian Diaspora Network USA. And as been mentioned before, we are very honored to have with us Commissioner Nancy Andrade from the Commission on Human Relations, City of Chicago, in joining us for this webinar today. But before I invite her to give her remarks, I would like to introduce Commissioner Nancy Andrade. She started her role with the Commission in January this year. And she is an attorney by training and brings diverse legal expertise and community relation experience to the Commission. She views her work in city government as a calling. That's very interesting, and aims to making positive impact through the work of the Commission. Commissioner Andrade, time is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Salam alaikum to all of the Indonesian community. Mr. Consul General, thank you so much. I'm honored to be in your presence and in your company, together with the Police Attaché and Mr. Martino Tangkar, and of course, my colleagues from the Chicago Police Department and Norman White from the Commission on Human Relations. My remarks will be brief. I really want to say we at the Commission are looking very much into the seriousness of hate crimes. And the mayor and the city of Chicago view this as a high priority, not just for the Asian community, but for all communities that are diverse, that are ethnic, be they religious, be they of a particular marginalized group. An act of hatred towards one group is an act of hatred towards all of us, and we must stop that. In response to all that has been happening across the country, and as Mr. Santanjaya remarked earlier, Chicago is fortunate in that we are still a very safe city, and nothing has been of that grand nature has happened yet in Chicago. We say yet because we just don't know. We don't want it to ever happen, but as of now, nothing has happened. And to address this serious issue, we have formed a committee within the Commission on Human Relations where we have invited 25 members of the diverse Asian community. And right now I am publicly inviting Mr. Martino Tengar to participate as a member of this important commission. We would be honored to have you serve and represent the Indonesian community so that the community can have a voice to educate the city. We would like all the Asian communities to educate us as to what are the best practices to become involved, to build a bridge with your communities. We know that there is language barriers, there are cultural barriers, there might be religious barriers. We don't want to be offensive or disrespectful. We want to engage with the community in a way that is respectful and open so we can build trust and a good relationship. And by having that good relationship, we hope that the community will let us know and the police department know of anything that happens in the community, because that's how we work best, by working together. Right now, we don't know what's happening in the community, but by having your voice at the table of this important anti-Asian hate crimes committee, your voice will be heard. And I look forward to working with you and the Asian community on this important topic. And more details about that will be shared with the community. On one other aspect I would like to talk about is just the overall work of the Commission on Human Relations. The community, the Indonesian community, we are here to serve you. If you believe that you are a victim of discrimination, you are looking for housing, you're looking for employment, you feel that you were discriminated because of your ethnicity, because of your religious background, or because of the fact that you are a woman, or because of your sexual orientation, please contact us. We are here to help you file a report so that we can help and bring some justice to an injustice that has happened to you. Our services are free of charge. You do not need an attorney. There are no filing fees, and we work with you. We also have a language line, phone line, so that if there is a language barrier, there is translation services available. So we can assist in helping you file a complaint. That is a very important part of our work. And we are here to enforce all these anti-discrimination laws in the city. Also, if you are handicapped, if you have a physical disability or even a mental disability, if you feel you are discriminated, or you go to a restaurant or to a concert, a hall, a theater, and if you are in a wheelchair or if you have limited mobility and you were unable to participate in the activity because that location was not able to accommodate your mobility needs, please contact us. We are here to assist you. We are here to correct things that happen like that. So please use this as a reference. We are here to help, and we look forward again to building a very strong relationship and to working with you all. Thank you for having me today. Thank you.
Tankar that have been invited to join the commission. Hopefully that you can represent us well in the commission. Right. Now, after hearing all the remarks from our distinguished guests, now we come to the presentation section. And as our first presenter will be Mr. Norman White. And before I invite Mr. White to deliver his presentation, I would like just to read in brief of his information. Mr. Norman White from Hate Crime Victim Advocate is the works closely with the Chicago Police Department, the state's attorney's office, and other non-governmental entities in advocating and providing support to victims of hate crimes. Mr. Norman White works with many diverse communities in Chicago. In this case, the Jewish, Latinos, Asian, immigrants, and refugee communities, etc. Mr. White also works in the Chicago public schools to facilitate bilingual bullying and hate crimes workshop to teachers, parents, and students. He's a graduate of Michigan State University, MSU, where he received a BA in political science and international relations. Mr. White, it's time for your presentation.
Well, thank you very much, and assalamu alaikum. And
Alaikum salam.
and it's truly a pleasure to be here. You know, it's really an honor, and I'm glad that you've given us this opportunity to speak with the community, because Chicago has a zero tolerance for bias motivated crimes. We have, like I said, we have a zero tolerance for that. And like the commissioner was saying, if you need to file complaints at the commission, we're here to help you. And one thing that I do want to highlight is that immigration status is not an issue at all. So everybody is welcome. If they feel that they've been wrong, they can file a complaint with the commission, and that's in the adjudication section of the commission. I, in particular, work in the intergroup relations section of the commission. And what we do is we are the proactive arm of the commission. What we do is we go out to the communities, we do presentations, we go to schools, we go to organizations. Now we're doing them through Zoom because of the COVID, but we try to get the word out there as far as what we do. And my particular function at the Commission on Human Relations is a hate crime victim advocate. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by defining what a hate crime is, because sometimes people aren't really sure of what a hate crime is. Sometimes they think, well, aren't all hate crimes hate crimes? Well, there is a definition for a hate crime. So the best definition of a hate crime is also known as a bias motivated crime or bias crime. And it's a prejudice motivated crime which occurs when a perpetrator targets a victim because of their membership or perceived membership of a certain social group or race. And I will repeat this: because of their membership or perceived membership of a certain group or race. Now, hate crimes are nothing new. Hate crimes have happened throughout world history. We're all familiar with the Holocaust from 1939 to 1945, where 7 million Jews were exterminated because of their religion. Most recently, Rwanda in 1994, where the Tutsis and the Hutus had some conflicts there. And even here in the United States, you know, it goes way back. You know, the lynching of African Americans in the American South. Right now, the assault on Asians is a continuation of that. Also against the LGBTQ community. So, you know, and one thing that I do want to say is that acts of bias and prejudice are punishable under Illinois law. Now, there are some non-violent, for example, hate crimes, such as the painting of swastikas on a synagogue, et cetera, et cetera. Now, who do we protect? Now, people who have been victims of hate crime were targeted for their membership in one of the following protected groups: race, sexual orientation, religion, national origin, disability, mental or physical, or gender. Now, the way it works, if somebody believes that they've been a victim of a hate crime in the city of Chicago, the first thing they need to do is call the police. So a hate crime happens, the police is called, the hate crime is reported to the police on the scene, and if they describe the crime as possibly being a bias motivated based crime, it goes into a special unit of the police department, which is called the Civil Rights Unit, which conducts the investigation, and that's my colleague, Detective French, does. And once they get it, they pass on the information to us, and that's when we provide the victim support. Now, one of the challenges also about the whole hate crime thing is that we try to educate people on what a hate crime is, because let's say if I'm walking down the street and somebody approaches me and they say, listen, we don't like your kind over here, we don't like Black people, and I'm assaulted, and let's say they rob my cell phone, right? I call the police and I notify that to the police, and the police ask me, well, what happened? And the only thing I say, well, listen, I was walking down the street and they beat me up and they took my cell phone. Then it goes as a battery and a robbery. But since I didn't describe what the perpetrator said, that they didn't like me, they didn't like Black people, then it never happened. It's just an assault. So that's why it's very important for people to be informed as to what a hate crime is, and to use the language that was used against them, and to tell the police officer that they believe that they've been targeted because of their race or national origin. Now, another thing, for example, if you could be walking down the street and somebody approaches, let's say you're from Jakarta, Indonesia, somebody approaches you and tells you, you know what, we don't like Chinese in our neighborhoods, and you get assaulted, that's still a hate crime, although you are not Chinese, but it was a bias motivated crime. So you don't necessarily have to be a member of that community in order for it to be cataloged a hate crime. Now, one of the things is that a hate crime is not an assault against one individual, but it's an assault against an entire community of people. And it sends a message out there to an entire community of people that you are not wanted here. So it's not a crime against just one individual. Now, some of the support services, when we get it at the commission, we contact the victim, we speak to the victim, we find out if they need additional support. Sometimes, they've been the victims of, they've been hit, they've been struck, and we try to provide support for those victims that have suffered violence. One of the things that we also do is we mobilize the community. If there's certain things going on in a certain community, we work with the local elected officials, we work with the police, we work with community leaders to try to address those issues also. And also, one of the things that we do is we track every case from the moment it goes into the court system until there is some sort of resolution. So there is some court advocacy that we get involved in too. For example, one of the consequences of committing a hate crime is a class 4 felony, and you can fined up to $1,000, or you could also do some time. Now, a few of the incidents that we've gotten involved in, I don't know if you remember, maybe a few years ago, and this went viral, when 4 individuals, African Americans here in Chicago, tortured a little white boy, and they put it on Facebook Live. That was one of the cases that we got involved in, and we did a lot of the court advocacy, and fortunately, we got a conviction on that. One of the perpetrators got 8 years on that case. And sometimes the court cases, they can last several months. Sometimes they last several years. But one of the things that, I've heard from the victims is that they didn't know that the city was so involved in this. And they really appreciate the involvement of the commission and the involvement of the police, because sometimes when you're a victim, when I come on the scene, you meet these victims and they're at a low point. They've been hurt. So that's one of the services that we offer. We had a transgendered woman who was assaulted, and this was by gang members, and she was threatened. They told her, listen, if you don't drop the charges, we're going to kill you. And that was very serious. So what the commission did is we worked with the police department, and we were able to take that victim outside of that community and find temporary housing for her so that her personal safety would not be jeopardized. And another thing that we did is we were able, I don't know if you've heard of the U visa. She was an undocumented immigrant. And because of her cooperation with the police, we were able to facilitate her to get a U visa, which means that she was able to adjust her status in the United States. There's also nonviolent hate crimes that happen. It doesn't necessarily have to be all violent, but for example, we had a church in Pilsen, which was vandalized twice. A man was also charged with a hate crime in the vandalism of a loose synagogue downtown here in Chicago. We tracked that case also from the beginning to end. And a few years ago, we had some bomb threats at several Jewish grade schools and synagogues. And we were able to go, we were able to speak with them, we were able to mobilize the community and let them know that we were aware of what's going on. And we've been able to help them in trying to provide some training through the police department in terms of active shooter trainings. So the important things that people really need to know, if they feel that they've been a victim of a hate crime, the first thing you have to do is call the police. Please call the police, because sometimes we've had cases of folks that, there might be an incident, but they're not sure, or their immigration status is not quite there, and they never report it. So if they don't report it, it never happened. So we need the support of the community in reporting these hate crimes so the police can get involved, we can get involved. And let me tell you one thing also, we always operate on the assumption that most hate crimes that happen are not reported. So regardless of the numbers that we get, we always believe that the numbers are higher, because there is that trend that people don't know how to report hate crimes or don't know where to go, or sometimes they might be afraid to report. So we always encourage people to call the police, or they could call us, because we've had incidents where people call us directly, or they could call the consulate and the consulate could call us. They can call organizations in their community, and the organizations can contact us and we can get the ball rolling. So it's very, very important for people to really be educated on what a hate crime is and to report it. So, I'll leave it there for the question and answer, because I could go for a long time. And let me just tell you, happy National Police Day. Congratulations. And I'll let Officer French, Detective French, take it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. White, for a very informative presentation that you have already gave us. And participants, if you have any question for Mr. White, please write down in the chat room, and we will come back to you during question and answer session. Next presenter will be Detective Sonia French from Department of Hate Crimes and Civil Rights Unit, Chicago Police Department, or CPD. She has been a police officer for 23 years. with many experiences and notable assignments. Detective Franz will share with us very important information about hate crimes in Chicago and what the CPD could assist us if someone becomes the victim of hate crimes. So without further ado, Detective Franz, the time is yours.
Thank you very much for having me. I prepared a PowerPoint presentation for this part. If your assistant can help me with sharing that screen for the audience, I would greatly appreciate that. Okay. The Chicago Police Department Hate Crime Section information about hate crimes. If I could have the next slide, please. The city of Chicago is a diverse community. We are a melting pot for immigrants. Immigrants are fundamental to the city's existence, economic growth, and diversity. Chicago is broken up into many different sections of different religious groups and minority groups throughout. And we tend to come to Chicago and clump in areas where we are familiar. So we are very lucky to have a Chinatown. We do have 800 Indonesian citizens in the Chicagoland area. And I'm happy to report that our Indonesian hate crimes here in the city of Chicago, you can go and you're going to see a slide a little bit later that talks about our stats. We have not had an Indonesian hate crime in the city of Chicago, and we hope to keep it that way. Can I have the next slide, please? Norman talked a little bit about what a hate crime was, but let me tell you what the state statute says a hate crime is, or when a person commits a hate crime, and this is how the Chicago Police Department charges. A person commits a hate crime when, by reason of actual or perceived race, color, creed, religion, ancestry, gender, or sexual orientation, physical or mental disability, or national origin of another individual or group of individuals, regardless of the existence of any other motivating factor or factors, he or she commits the following: an assault, a battery, an aggravated assault, intimidation, stalking, cyber stalking, misdemeanor theft, criminal trespass to residence, misdemeanor criminal damage to property, criminal trespass to vehicle, criminal trespass to real property, mob action, disorderly conduct, transmission of obscene messages, harassment by telephone, or harass through electronic means or communication. And what does that mean to our citizens of the city of Chicago? Because a lot of times, like Norman stated, a lot of times people know that they were a victim of a crime, but they don't necessarily know that they were a victim of a hate crime. The words that people use when they commit crimes defines it as a hate crime. If they make reference to any of these words in the definition of a hate crime through the statute of the state of Illinois, you are a victim of a hate crime if any of these things happen to you. Can you give me the next slide, please? Here are some indicators of hate. Racial, ethnic, gender, or cultural differences of the offender or victim. What do we mean by that? So if somebody walks up to you and just says, I don't like you because you are Indonesian, that's not a hate crime. However, if they walk up to you and they say, I don't like you because you're Indonesian, and they punch you or assault you or do anything else, now you are a victim of a hate crime, okay? If they write comments or statements or gestures on any religious area of any Indonesian areas, or they draw markings or symbols or graffiti by offenders, or they protest. It's one thing to have freedom of speech. It's another thing to have hate speech, an organized group or its members protesting. On one respect, we have people who will protest against the protesters to say, we're not going to accept that. And then we have protesters that are hate groups that actually target individuals and weaken the community. Previous existence of hate crimes or hate incidents. So we start to track things in the city of Chicago. One of the things that my office does is that something may not seem like it's a hate crime. It might not rise to the level of a hate crime. And let me give you an example. Just over the last couple months, there has been some tension with the Jewish community in Palestine. So what we are seeing in Chicago is that there are a lot of graffiti popping up in a certain community. And in that community, it doesn't rise to the level of a hate crime, but it is definitely harassment of the Jewish community. So what we did is we started tracking all of the graffiti that started popping up over around the city. And through that, we came up with a timeline of when those things are happening. We make sure that we get rid of it right away. We take pictures, we get all of our evidence. And from that, we were able to get a picture. And now we have an identification of the person who was actually doing the graffiti. It's just a matter of us actually being able to arrest them. That's just something that's recent and currently ongoing with the Chicago Police Department. When we talk about victim witness perception, right? We talk about, why do you think this happened? Because if there's no other motive for something to happen to you and somebody says, I did this to you because of your race, your religion, your ancestry, even if they think you're something else, like Norman gave the example that they said, you're Chinese and you're not Chinese. However, if the offender believes that you are Chinese because it's their perception, you are a victim of a hate crime. And also the perception of the victim and the witness. Did this happen to me because I'm Indonesian? And there's no other reason for it. The location of the incident, does the area of occurrence consist of one particular group of people who are offenders in the incident and the victims are of a different group? There are communities that are targeted. Right now, I just gave an example of the Jewish community, which is being targeted with graffiti. So, and then again, like I said, a lack of any other motive. Can I please have the next slide? What are the effects of hate crimes on the victims in the communities? They're especially brutal, and they can cause harm to people. We have to realize that if somebody gets hurt, there's going to be a trip to the hospital, depending on what type of violence has been projected on them. The victim feels traumatized and terrified, but it goes further than that. It goes into the community and it goes into the families of those victims, because we can't understand why somebody would target a certain group because of their differences. And it's often frustrating for the families of the victims, and communities and families feel powerless when hate crimes actually occur. The other people in the community who share the same victims' characteristics may feel victimized and vulnerable. An example would be what happened in Atlanta. That didn't just happen in Atlanta, that happened across the nation. That was something that was a ripple effect in all of our communities, because that should have never have happened. And so hate crimes also can escalate and be retaliatory in action. We think that maybe this is just graffiti, but what happens if the person that's doing the graffiti decides to target this community further? What kind of violence can be ensued at that point? So those are the types of things that we track with the Chicago Police Department, so that way we don't have those types of incidents happening. And hate crimes and hate crime incidents create a community-wide unrest. Nobody in the community should feel unwanted in any community that they live in because of their religious ancestry, sexual background, or their perceived characteristics that somebody else says you're not wanted here. Everybody is wanted in the city of Chicago. Can I have the next slide, please? Which brings us to that Chicago is a sanctuary city. And why is this so important? We do not care about your immigration status when you're reporting a crime. The Chicago Police Department does not notify ICE if you are a victim of a crime. We want everyone to report hate crimes so that we can have accurate reporting. There is a severe part of underreporting that goes on, not just in Chicago, but throughout the nation. So law enforcement wants undocumented immigrants as well as documented immigrants, or anybody as part of the community, to trust the police. In order for the police to be the most effective in our jobs, we need to be able to work together with all members of the community to report crimes, give give tips, and testify as a witness. In order for immigrants to trust the police, they need to know that interaction with law enforcement will not lead to their deportation. Norman gave a very good example of how somebody who was undocumented actually wound up gaining a U visa because they were actually a victim of a crime, and they were a victim of a hate crime here in Chicago. Again, we operate on how we send out our resources in the city of Chicago by how people report crimes in the city of Chicago. We can't give the resources if we don't know where hate crimes are happening and how we can assist and educate the communities as well as the members of the community. Can I please have the next slide? So that brings us to reporting, right? So Chicago is very unique. We have some great things that have happened, and I want to talk about our language line that rolled out last week. Very excited about that. But in an emergency, when any type of crime is happening, everybody should know to call 911, regardless of status. It is, in some communities, they think that if they call the police, they're going to be charged. You will not be charged if you call the police. It is absolutely free to report any crime in the city of Chicago. So we use 311 to report non-emergency situations. It's not something like maybe graffiti. That's not urgent. You saw some graffiti on the wall. Report that situation so we can get it removed and we can start tracking how many of those types of things are actually happening in a community, because that could be a flare-up that we're looking for later. Ask the question concerning police services. When we talk about that, we want everybody to be able to file a police report. So when the police respond, give them the verbiage that is used. If somebody said that they thought they did this to you because you're Indonesian, or they thought you were Chinese, or they thought you were a Latin descent, please give that information so that way we can document. But even more important is the words that were used. What did they say before they did whatever criminal act they did? Okay. The other part is filing the police report over the phone. This could be done through 311. Okay, you don't need to, sometimes a police officer, if it's an emergency, because we want to get medical assistance out, we want to make sure that we're calling 911. You can make an appointment at the local district of Chicago Police, whatever district you live in. You can make an appointment to file a police report as well. You can go into the station and file a police report. And now we've rolled out that we can actually file police reports online. So I've provided the email address on how to report a crime online. And so there is, if you're uncomfortable coming in and speaking to somebody about what happened, you could fill out your police report online now. That is something new that the city of Chicago is offering. Can I have the next slide, please? No hate, no fear, no violence. We sponsor a lot of different events with the Chicago Police Department. One of our biggest assets in the Chicago Police Department is the Community Policing Department. Every district has a community policing office, and they sponsor a number of events along with us that we come out and do seminars like what we're doing right now. We have interfaith events. We have community service projects to support impacted communities targeted against hate. We use Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms to engage and update community and what's going on. One of the other things is sometimes there are older community members that might not be on social media platforms. The Chicago Police Department does have the community policing office that will actually go out into certain communities and knock on the door and pass out flyers to get out the message that there is a trend of hate crimes or a trend of robberies against the Asian community or anything of that nature, so that way people know what's actually going on in their community. You can also attend the local community policing meetings. I'm going to provide a link during the resources where anybody who lives in the city of Chicago can actually attend a BEAT meeting. Also, if you're outside of the city of Chicago, you are still able to attend a BEAT meeting to get information about what's going on in the community. We have a lot of people that come into the city of Chicago to work and they might not necessarily live here, but live in the greater Chicagoland area. You can attend a BEAT meeting in the area that you actually work in as well. It's open to everybody in the public. We look forward to having people attend our community meetings, as well as allowing everybody to have a voice and explain what's going on in their community. Even if you don't live here and you work here, you're still a part of the Chicago community. Can I have the next slide, please? What happens after the crime? Norman mentioned that we are advocates. The Chicago Police Department in my office, once we know you're a victim of a hate crime, we actually follow the case completely. From the time court starts, we make sure that you know when your court dates are. We make sure that you know what time, what courtroom to go to. We even go to court with you. And we walk you through that entire process. We've partnered with the commission and Norman White, who and I've gotten a chance to work with on several cases, and we help our victims through the process. And we also develop a plan for developing collaboration and activities to promote healing. We have mediation tables that we run through the Commission on Hate as well that assist us, because it might not be something that meets the threshold of a crime, but there's something going on in the community and it's not regards to the police. We will often ask him to come and do some type of mediation in the community to kind of make sure that it doesn't escalate to any other violence. And through initiation and strengthening prevention activities, we have a host of different things that we do. From, you're going to see another slide on this, that we do to assist in not promoting hate. So can I have the next slide, please? Okay, here are some of the resources. The city of Chicago came up with, through the Department of Justice, we're under a consent decree here in Chicago, we've come up with a hate crime dashboard. This dashboard that we have, you have the email, the web address to it. It breaks down the city of Chicago's hate crimes by gender, by race, by nationality, offender, victim, time of day, where it happened, what district it happened in, and the types of crimes. So please visit that. You can see everything that's tracked. We partner with the FBI. Our database and all of our numbers get reported to the FBI, and all of those numbers match what the FBI has. Our district community policing office, I mentioned that for people to actually get to know what's going on in their community and also attend a BEAT meeting so they actually know the different trends that are going on, especially when we come to knock on doors. We do come in uniform to pass out flyers on hate as well. The other thing that we do is do the Attorney General's office. We offer crime victim assistance, and through that, you can call as well as report a hate crime if you're not comfortable coming to the Chicago Police Department, but also we provide other assistance. What do we mean by that? They provide mental health, they provide medical assistance, and they provide victims who cannot afford to pay their medical bills, assistance with paying those bills. Those things are online. You can fill out an application for that if you're a victim of a crime in the city of Chicago, in the state of Illinois, as well as in the Cook County area. And again, the other resource that we have is the Commission on Human Relations for the city of Chicago. Can I have the next slide, please? What do I what comes out of my office? There are several things that we do out of our office, and these are some things that help combat hate and hate crimes. We go into the schools and we talk to different groups about bullying, cyberbullying, because bullies start out very young and can escalate into hate. as they get older. We talk about community groups and awareness. We tell people what's going on. We have a great social media team here in Chicago that watch for different groups that might be coming to Chicago or the Chicagoland area to cause problems or protest. We also do training. We are training all of the new recruits that come into the police department on implicit bias training. We have over 40 hours of hate crime training with them. We have continuing education with our senior officers, as well as diversity training. We have a new policy on non-discriminatory policing. We also do training bulletins for our officers that are out on the street as a reminder on how to handle a hate crime. New, I mentioned earlier, we have a language access line that we came out with last week, and it is in full-blown motion. All police officers on the street have now an app on their police phones, and it allows victims who are not English speaking to pick the language on the phone that they speak. It automatically gives us a live interpreter on the scene for us to get the most accurate information for our victims of crimes. So that has been rolled out new. I'm really excited about that program. That program also is for the hearing impaired. We have tablets that we can have a person come up who can sign if the person is unable to speak and is hearing impaired. So we would be able to communicate with them right on the spot, on the scene, as well as for our witnesses as well. So if there's a language barrier and the officer doesn't speak that language, the language access app allows us to get an interpreter immediately. Data collection, that is kept in our office. We track all hate crimes in the city of Chicago and have to report those to the FBI. And we also provide victim support. So victim support is case by case. Each victim is different. So each victim needs a different set of resources. Some could use mental health. Some might need assistance on filling out an application for paying medical bills. Others may need support with wanting to attend court, but too afraid to go by themselves. So we provide that support as well. May I have the next slide, please? I want to thank everybody for my time. I really appreciate it. I hope I kept my time to the time allotted. So thank everybody very much for everything that you've invited me to.
Right. Thank you, Detective French. It was very comprehensive yet very informative presentation that you have already gave us. So just write it down. Besides 911, there is also 311 for non-emergency situation, especially to report about the hate crime. So please use that facilities to report about hate crimes. Again, reporting is very important. No report, no case. So please, again, remember that. For those who already put a question in our chat room, please bear with us. We'll be back to you soon after all the presentation. So next, we will have our attaché, police attaché in Washington, D.C. Selamat Hari Bayangkara, Pak Ari. Happy National Police Day. I'd like to introduce in brief Brigadier General Police Ari Laksmana Wijaya has been joining the Indonesian Police since July 1989. It's been 32 years now. Yeah, he completed his graduate study in machine engineering from ITS Surabaya. So besides police, he's also an engineer in 1991. And he's also studied law from Untak Cirebon in 2009 and achieved his master's degree on government administration from Untak Cirebon and Unpad Bandung in 2014. Brigadier General Ari Laksmana has various assignments both in Indonesia as well as abroad. He has joined numbers of UN peacekeeping mission operation in Croatia, 1997, 1998, Bosnia-Herzegovina, 2001-2002, Darfur, Sudan, 2007-2008. Before appointed as the Indonesian Police Attaché in Washington, D.C., Brigadier General Ari was our police attaché in The Hague, Netherlands from 2011 to 2014. Wow. So, Brigadier Ari, after we are hearing a lot of information from our Chicago colleagues, now we would like to hear your perspective from the Indonesian side, Pak. So the time is yours now.
Thank you, moderator. I'm very honored that you have explained about my curriculum vitae. And by the way, that is, of course, I'm sure also emphasizing about today's webinar, that I hope this also related what we are doing right now. Dear participant, especially to the moderator, and then the Consul General of Indonesia in Chicago, Mr. Mary Binsar Simorangkir, and then Mr. Martino Tangkar as the National President of Indonesian Diaspora Network USA, Commissioner Nancy Andrade, Chair of Commission on Human Relations, City of Chicago, and also my dear brother, Mr. Norman White, Hate Crime Victims Advocate, Commission on Human Relations of City of Chicago, and also my dear police colleagues, Detective Sonia, friends from Chicago Police Department. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. In this very special occasion, please allow me to present only a few things. I don't know, because everything has been explained by my brother Norman and also my sister Sonia, and I don't know what will be the rest that I can explain more, but I try to see from different perspective of my presentation. So could you please share my presentation? So I will open from the beginning. So this will be a little bit different. I have already put my contact number, my mobile, and also WhatsApp. So anytime, anything that you want to discuss with me, there are my mobile phone and also my email that you can contact me. Please, the next slide. So that's why I tried just to make some clear definition about what is hate crime, especially in the United States. That we know that there is a crime, and then when we know that this crime is motivation from committing the crime based on bias or ethnicities group or related to races, so it is considered as a hate crime. So I will not read it one by one, but I just try to emphasize some sentences. Hate crimes means a bias against people or groups with specific characteristics that are defined by the law. So everything must be defined by the law. And at the federal level, I mean the U.S. federal level, hate crimes law, it is include crimes committed on the basis of the victim's perceived, just like race, color, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, and also disability. And also, when we talk about the crime, it is we are always talking about like a common crimes like assault, murder, arson, vandalism, and so and so. But when we talk about hate crimes at the federal level, again, it is at the federal level. What I know, based on my discussion with some of my counterparts in the federal level law enforcement agencies, that they call it that this hate crime must be motivated by bias against race, color, religion, national origin, and so and so. There is the difference between hate crime and hate incidents. This is what I got from my colleagues. That when we talk about hate crimes, it becomes a crime. But sometimes we cannot consider some incident to be defined as a crime, but it is defined as a hate incident or bias incidents. It is such as like somebody just to swear, just to say something, but there is no crime involved. So this is not, this cannot be considered as the hate crimes. Next slide, please. So this is just, I want to also just to emphasize about what is the definition of racism and racist. So when we talk about racism, so actually it has a positive meaning. In the beginning, when we talk about racism, it is just about a belief or doctrine that somebody believes that every human race has different characteristic or ability or quality. So it determines cultural or individual achievement, and also sometimes it is just to distinct between one race to another race. But in the right now, this has become quite a bit different, because then racism has like a different meaning, because then it becomes like a driving factor for social discrimination, segregation, and racial violence, even include genocide. So that's why now racism become one of the trigger for hate crime. And also about the racist, it is now become a negative meaning, because racist is a person who make like a prejudice or discrimination, or make the race difference as a base that one race it is uh, better than another race. So that's why when we try to see what is the statement of CDC this year, that when we talk about the sorry, I cannot read my presentation, but it is like racism is now become like a serious public health threat. This is based on the CDC statement. Next slide. Please, next slide. I just tried to give like some data about hate crimes with racial motives in USA. There are three questions that I would like to raise. First is, do you believe this hate crime increased in the US lately? And the secondly, is only Asian become a target? And the third, it's also, we cannot just say that it's based on our opinion, but we have to see what is the data or statistic what we have. So this is, I tried to get some statistic. Yes, we can see Asian American directed as a victim of the hate crimes. It is increasing based on the California State University in San Bernardino. It is stated that in New York City, increased from 2019 to 2020, from 3 cases become 28 hate crimes cases. So we can compare also I put two statistic, so we can see where is Chicago. We can see for Chicago, we are lucky because Chicago we have. It is actually it's not lucky, but it is good because now we have data that in 2019 we had 2 cases, and in 2020 we had 2 cases, so same case. But we do hope that it will be 0 in this year or in the next year. Please next slide. So this is what I tried to see. What is hate crimes in the United States? We can see all hate crimes, the numbers, but sorry, this is only the comparison between 2019 and 2018 and 2014, because this is what I can get from even from my colleagues in here in the state, in the federal level. But also we can see for the anti-Asian, actually this is only, it's not only, but this is also quite big. But if we try to compare with another number, we have an anti-Asian from 2019. We try to compare with 2018 is increasing 9.76%. But we can see there are others number, it is bigger than anti-Asian. Next slide. So then I tried to give like an anti-Asian hate crime in the United States. We can see from the first left statistic. From this, we see that Indonesian, it is considered as other ethnicities in 29%. Why? Because means Indonesia is not it's not the main target, comparing to Filipinos, Vietnamese, Koreans, especially to the Chinese, because Chinese has is quite big number, 41%. And then if we see on the right side this pie chart, Illinois has 4%. This is the data from March 2019 to December 2020. So this will be 4%. And then if we see from the kind of incident, we can see the biggest is about verbal harassment. So when we talk about the verbal harassment, sometimes we have to see, is it a hate crimes? I mean, as already crime, or only a bias incident, or we cannot consider as a crime. So this is the statistic. It's not what I'm saying, but this is based on statistic what I got from all sources. Please next slide. So now I'm trying to try to focus on the Asian concern about this anti-Asian hate and attitudes in the US. So first, I would like to say that hate crimes, this can be followed with the street crimes. Why I say that? Because when we say hate crimes, sometimes actually this is not because of the hate, but it is connected with another street crimes, such as like pickpocketers and so. And then I'm also trying to say that it is not related to white supremacist issue. This is what I'm saying. This is not based on my my personal opinion, but this is based on my also discussion and also what data what we have seen before. And then the third thing that I want also to emphasize, especially to the participant from the Indonesian, that some factors that trigger the increase of hate crime and street crimes against the Asian, there are three conditions that we have to understand. First, condition that we have to know that there is an Asian stereotype. Why? Because we know it is. This is I would say this is well known that the Asian is it's how we call it, but keep cash or banknotes everywhere you go. You prefer to have a cash with you at any time, so you have your wallet full of dollars. Then you keep your credit card or debit card. So this is one situation that it is already well known by the criminal. So when they see the Indonesian or the Asian, they know you are like US dollar moving around, and then you will be a target. So, and then also sometimes you prefer to go out alone, then you go with your friend. I don't know why you like this. I mean, when I say you means this to the Asian. And then you are happy to wear some expensive branded items, clothes, shoes, and everything. And the last thing that you are hesitant to report when you become a victim of a crime. So that's why the Asian become a soft target of a crime. So this is the Asian stereotype as is well known by the criminal. And secondly, the condition is about the COVID-19. We know that psychological pressure happened to all of us due to the order for the stay at home. So we got what we call it as a cabin fever. So sometimes then we become like a irrational person to do something because of this situation, because of this psychology situation. And also because of the accusation that China or Asian is responsible for a COVID virus. Some call this as a China flu, Kung flu, Wuhan flu, and so and so. And the last thing that some people, they jealous against the Asian because the Asian, it is considered more survived during the pandemic situation. And lastly, because of the political affiliation, we know that raising hate crime issues become as part of hidden political issues or agenda for the politician. But I don't want to put this in deep because it is become this is not my responsibility. But this is three situations that we need to consider. Please, the next slide. So this is the main thing that I would like to share to all the Indonesian, especially for this situation. So what do we want? I mean, do we need to do demonstration and then request to the local government or to the federal government or to the police to do something for us? Is that what we want? But we have to also consider what should we do, because we have to know we can be a victim, not only our friends, but also our family, even ourselves. So we have to think, what should we do, or what should I do? Then what effort should be considered to avoid this kind of situation? So there are three steps that we need to be considered. First is the preemptive, especially this is to the diaspora Indonesia. When I say diaspora, means Indonesian American, so they are already American citizen. So just try to mix with the local community. So do not be exclusive, or you have to be part of the community. You have to communicate. You have to share. You have to gather with all the community. Then, because when you do that, then you will become part of the community. And then secondly, report to the local police or local government if you notice a crime problem or a disturbance situation or location. So if you have problem or you don't have enough confidence to report to the local police or local government, you can go through the Indonesian embassy or consulate general to inform, to explain about the situation that can harm your safety. And then I would say this one, it is very hard to say, but this is what I heard at sometimes. There is a sentence to the Asian, you are called as the forever foreigner. Why? I don't know, a forever foreigner. Even you are already American, but sometimes they will say you are still forever foreigner. I will put this as one of this preemptive, because this is really what I got from some of my discussion with some of my colleagues and also some of my Indonesian in here. So because this branding is already made, so please remove this brand. So then the second effort that you need to do is preventive effort. You have to perform a body system. I mean, when you go outside, please go with your friend or with your family. Why? Because then you can help mutually, or support from your friends or your family or your fellow who go with you if there is a crime. And then your appearance, do not too attractive. Your clothes and your behavior, please do not make attract to the community. And then avoid places such as like a crowded and then lack of light at the night, and just try to avoid that kind of situation that can be a place for a crime happen. And then don't wait to be victim of crime. And then the last is about the action. So when it happened to you, please keep calm. You have to look around, recognize the appearance, style, behavior of your perpetrators or somebody who harm you. So you have to see, because you have to inform, you have to explain your identification to the police officer when you report your case. And then if possible, please do documentation, take photographs if it is possible. And then don't provoke to do revenge except for self-defense. When somebody try to harm you, don't try to do, you know, to do revenge, because then become more complicated, except if you do that for your self-defense. And then priority is yours, if your own safety. So do not try to keep or to save your belonging, but first you have to think about your safety, your own safety. And then ask for help or get attention from people surrounding. And of course, you have to call 911. And then also you can report to the Indonesian representative in the US. You can report inform to the Indonesian embassy or to the Indonesian Consulate General nearest to your location. So that is because of very important, because you can get the assistance from the Indonesian representative. It's not we are taking over your case, but we are trying to help you, to support you, to see about your case. Next slide, please. This is my last slide. So I just want to say, be brave and conscious. So speak up, report hate crime. So this is very important. So it is already mentioned also by my sister Sonia and also my brother Norman, some of my keynotes here. Eliminate the feeling of being a victim of racism or hate crime. So please, you have an equal right here. So do not think that you can be a victim of racism and nobody will help you. So do not want to be victim of crime, especially for the hate crime. Then must dare to report crime to 911 or the local police. And this crime is not an organized crime. based on some cases, it is not organized crime. It is more to the individual crimes or jealousy. So do not think that when you report this and then you will have a trouble because of you are reporting this case to the police or to the local authority. And do not be afraid of the immigration status when reporting a crime. My sister Sonia has already emphasized about this. This is a crime, and do not think about your immigration status. Crime is a crime, and you have right to report about your crime occurred, especially when you become a victim. Last slide, please. Okay, thank you. Sukriya, Dangkuel, gracias, terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you very much, Brigadier General Ari Laksmana Wijaya. It was yet another comprehensive presentation that you have already give us. It seems that you already know well about Asian typical that we like to walk around with all the cases and then with the jewelry and things which might provoke somebody to to do perhaps some crimes to us. Well, if I may ask somebody to write down in our chat room our contact number to add for all the participants. So we do also have a hotline number. If you happen to see or experience any hate crimes yourself, so please report it to, for those in Midwest, please report it to us at the Indonesian Consulate in Chicago. Our contact number is for the hotline for the emergency situation is 312-547-9114. Yeah. Again, I repeat, 312-547-9114. So, ladies and gentlemen, all the participants, we have about 25 minutes for our question and answer session. There are already some questions put in our chat room. So I'd like to read all those questions one by one. But first of all, I would like to take perhaps 3 questions out of those been put in our chat room, and ask our research person to answer it. First is from, this is our friend Ibu Ria Ellison in Ohio. She has a question. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. Where should I go online to report a hate crime online? Of course, if I may respond to this, Bu Ria, apa kabar? Semoga baik-baik saja, Bu ya.
Ya baik, terima kasih. Ini saya unmute karena saya kadang-kadang batuk ini, pas alergi.
Right, yeah. So first, of course, again, you can always contact us in our hotline number, Bu Ria.
Right, okay.
But if any of our colleagues here would like to add to that information, please do so.
All right.
If not, then we will find out later, and we will get back to you either by phone or we can also contact you directly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And thank you, Mr. White and Detective Friends for sharing contact information. I think that will be very useful for all the
Yeah.
participants for today's webinar. And another question from Ibu Ria. Thank you. Is there any contact info? I think the same. What steps should I take if I believe I have been a victim of a hate crime committed by a member of law enforcement? This is a very, very interesting question. We have here Detective French from the CPD. Later on, after this, I would like to have Detective French to respond to that question. Next question, or our last question for this session, will be from our colleague Wisnu Broto. Some people are afraid of reporting to the police. They are afraid if they report to the police, they will be in trouble themselves, such as undocumented immigrants. And how can we convince them to report? I think this question might perhaps relate to Norman, Mr. White, and also Mr. Franz, or later on if Pak Ari could add something to it, so please do so. So okay, I'll open terms for our resource person to respond. First of all, Mr. White, do you have any answer to that question asked by our participants? Please, Mr. White.
Well, here, and that's a very good question. Here in Chicago, because there might be some people that may not want to go directly to the police because of their immigration status or for whatever reason. And what we do is we encourage them to call us directly here at the Commission on Human Relations because first of all, Chicago is a sanctuary city, so you won't get in trouble for not having documentation or anything like that because the goal is to document these hate crimes. But it's, if they don't feel comfortable going to the police, they should come to maybe call the consulate or contact us directly because we've had individuals that have contacted us directly, and I've called the Civil Rights Unit, Detective French unit to say, hey, listen, I got this. You guys want to take a look at it? And they look at it. And then in some cases, we've been able to categorize that as a hate crime. So ideally, the way it's supposed to function is that the police are notified first. But like I said, there's been instances where they come to us first or to other agencies, and the agencies do contact us, and we make that contact for them with the police, and we kind of bridge that gap. I don't know if that makes sense.
All right, Mr. White, thank you very much for your explanation. If Detective French or Pari would like to add something on that, please.
Thank you, Pak. Actually, everything has been explained by Mr. Norman about this immigration status. So, but based on my experience, because I have done this some consultation discussion with some law enforcement agencies, almost all the states, mostly they told me there is no connection between crime and immigration status. Even this is not a sanctuary cities or states, but they still consider that when you report about a crime, they never ask first about what is your immigration status. So this is very important because when you talk about the case crime, so this is still a crime. Lastly, if you have a hesitation to report to the police directly, I think this is what they can try to report through Indonesian representative, Indonesian embassy or consulate general. I think so we can help them to communicate because we also try to save the information about the victims. I think that is the best idea if they don't have any confidence to report directly to the police. And I'm thinking about one question from Busri about what if the incident occurred or did by the police officer, because this hate crime committed by a member of law enforcement. So maybe that is if I'm not the right person to answer that, maybe my sister Sonia or my brother Norman can give your opinion about this. I think I'm not the right person to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Adi. So, Sonia, to the friends, do you have any opinion on that?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
clearly.
all right. So first, I want to, can I just look at all of the questions and kind of go through online, because I actually have different ones. But for the incident with the police officers, understand that anytime an officer on the street does anything to a citizen or a community member, they have the right to report that to the supervisors, and the supervisors are mandated to open up a report and an investigation against that police officer. That is across the board, across the nation. That is not something that's just in Chicago, that's everywhere. And so, with that being said, I was looking up a phone number for that answer. And if the person that was asking that, I have a number for you for the chief of police in Cincinnati, Ohio. Hopefully that will be a little bit of assistance for you. You can report that there. Also understand that we are regulated by the Department of Justice as well. If you don't feel like it's getting resolved at that level, you can always call the Department of Justice and explain to them what is going on, and they will open up a case as well. So the phone number that I'm giving is area code 513-352-3536, and that is to the Chief of Police for the Cincinnati, Ohio Police Department. I looked online to see if Cincinnati had a hate crime online reporting system. I don't see a system like what we have in Chicago, which is really nice because it makes me feel good that we are being innovative and we're forward thinking, like we just don't have to report to 911 or 311, that we have other options like our system to report crimes online without even having to come into a district. So that's really exciting. But I did not see anything for Cincinnati, Ohio, so I can't give an answer for that. However, what I did come up with is a phone number for crimes against persons for the Cincinnati Police Department, and the person that heads that division would be a Lieutenant Jason Valdering, and his phone number is 513-352-3542. And I hope all of those things assist all of you with the questions that you had. And as we move on to, people are afraid to report to the police, and they think they're going to get in trouble. The Chicago Police Department is never going to ask your immigration status. If we don't get reports of what's going on in communities, we don't know where to put our resources. We have to know what the communities need in the city of Chicago. In order for us to do that, we have to know where the crime trends are. If there is no reporting, then we don't know what we offer as assistance to the communities of the city of Chicago. We don't know what kind of training to give our officers. We don't know what kind of training to give the community, and we don't know what type of alerts to give out. If there are robberies happening in the Indonesian community from the hours of 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 6 o'clock in the evening on a train, on the red line, the blue line, or the purple line, where people are commuting, we don't know where to put our extra officers because we don't know crimes are actually happening there. So it is so important that we partner with the communities in order to give them that type of assistance. And the only way we can do that is if crimes are being reported. So we've offered a lot of different ways so that way no one even has to go into a police station. but also know you don't get in trouble for reporting a crime. You are a victim. And that is what our unit is for. And now I know that I didn't touch on this in my presentation. We have a new set of affinity officers throughout the city of Chicago that started at the beginning of this month. And they offer assistance with all of these: immigration, homeless, religion, LGBTQ. And they're in the districts, all of the community policing offices, to assist people with what's going on in their community. And it doesn't matter if you're documented or undocumented. It doesn't make a difference to the Chicago Police Department. And so the biggest thing I could say is, if you're afraid, call into the station, make an appointment. Maybe they can meet you in a coffee shop. You don't have to necessarily come into the police station. You could file a report over the phone as well. Now you have the capability of filing a report online. We are trying to open the lines of communications with our communities as much as we can, so we can get the assistance to lower crime in the city of Chicago.
And I'll piggyback on that, because Detective French gave the information for Ohio, but probably good for the local consulate here in Chicago knows that we also have a civilian office of police accountability. And if people feel that they would want to make a complaint, they could always call that office, and it's independent from the police. So that's also another resource. And what I'll do is I'll put it on the chat with the contact information. And if you Google it, you could also get their website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much to our persons. We still have, I may take another, to collect 3 more questions. So another one still from Ibu Ria Elishan. How can we further educate or spread awareness about the prevalence of hate crimes to our friends and loved ones? That's the first question. And the second is again from our colleague. This is a little bit out of the topic, but the 4th of July weekend is coming. Yes, of course. And usually the crime rates, including shootings, will increase. What is the city and police strategy on keeping Chicago safe during this weekend? All right. So do we have one more question? Ada pertanyaan lagi? Lagi itu yang directly from Manurung? Okay, we can start with those 2 questions first. If any of our resource person could respond to that, perhaps we can start from Mr. White. You ready to give your response to that? How can we further educate or spread awareness about the prevalence of hate crimes to our friends and loved ones?
Well, here in Chicago, we're always available to do presentations. So we go to schools, we go to organizations, and we try to spread the word, because most people aren't aware of what a hate crime is. And that's one of the challenges, is how to report a hate crime if you don't know what the definition of it is. And let me tell you, it's tough because, and now people are a little bit more aware of it because it's been in the news. But in the past, when we were offered the hate crime workshops, people weren't really too taking it. They weren't really too interested in it because, it wasn't really in the news. And when it becomes newsworthy, that's when people are more interested. So what we were doing is, since we were already working with the schools and we were working with organizations, we would offer, and I don't know if you remember a few years ago, where bullying was in the news a lot. And, bullying can lead to hate crime. So what we started doing is we started offering workshops on bullying. And then we added a hate crime component, because people were signing up for those workshops a lot. And what we started doing is we started offering, a component. We added a hate crime component to the bullying. So, I know that people are in different states and different, cities. What I would do, if you're in Chicago, you could always call us. And if you're in another state, what you could do is you could find out if there is a human relations commission, or maybe call the police department to see if they offer those kinds of trainings. I don't know if Detective French would like to add to that.
Okay, please, Detective French, do you have any response to that?
Yes. So this morning I was in the parks, and that is exactly the type of training that I was providing to 11 through 14 today. We talked about bullying, and we talked about how not to, how bullying turns into hate and what to look for online as well. So with the Chicago Police Department, remember I talked a little bit about community policing, but in our office, right here in this office that I work in, we have many different teams, and we all do a little something different. So we actually do go out to talk to school-age children during the school year. We probably try to cover all of the schools that we can with the teams that we have, but they're there from 8 o'clock in the morning until about 3 o'clock daily, providing officer-friendly programs, the GREAT program, as well as bullying and online predators. So the other thing that the police department has done is we're mandated. We've just added extra training to all of our police officers so they know how to handle hate crimes on the street. We just completed through the consent decree a new training that will be getting dropped in everybody's box to be retrained, and just like a refresher, because everybody always needs a refresher on how to do things because the laws have changed as well. For our existing police officers and our recruits in the academy, they get 40 hours of hate crime training as well. So it's education, education, education. In our office as well, we do seminars like this to explain what hate is in the city of Chicago and when you become a victim of hate and why it's so important to report. We give seminars out at our community policing meetings. Those are monthly. Every district, every beat has a community policing meeting once a month. That's where all of the information on what's going on in their community is being passed along, to include the types of crimes that are happening. So those are some of the things that we actually have. During the summer, we are in the parks, and I volunteered this summer to do the parks in the morning, and then I came back here to do this seminar this evening with you guys. So those are just a couple of the things. We have so many different programs. You can go online with the cityofchicago.org or the City of Chicago Police Department to see a lot of the programs that the city has to offer, as well as the Chicago Police Department has to offer on programs on how to counter hate.
And let me just add to that too, because, we do a lot of outreach to different communities, and we partnered up with the police department several years ago. I don't know if you remember when, there was all that stuff going on in the Middle East, and they were cutting heads, these Muslim extremists and all that sort of stuff that was going on. And, what we ended up doing is we sat and said, there's a lot of misinformation being put out in the media about the Muslim religion, about Islam. So what we started doing is we started working with local Muslim leaders in the police, and we started doing Ramadans. Well, during Ramadan, we started doing iftars at local police districts. And we would invite people from different races, people from different religions to celebrate. And that turned out to be a success. And we ended up doing it for 5 years in a row. And it kept growing and growing and growing, because we just figured, you know what? It's a great to intersect Muslims and not Muslim, and Muslims and non-Muslims. And that way they can learn about what Islam truly is about. And it was so successful that we started having them in other police districts. And during those iftars, we, give out information on hate crimes and how to report hate crimes and the different services that the police department and the Commission on Human Relations have. Now, last year we weren't able to do a iftar because of COVID, and we're hoping that maybe this year, next time we'll be able to do another one. Last year, since we did have COVID, what the local Muslim community did is they prepared lunches for the local police to show how grateful they were. So those kind of interchanges with the community, it's also helpful to educate them.
Okay, excellent. Pak Ari, do you like to add something?
Yeah, I would like to give from the different view what has been explained before. In general, because I don't want to mention only about the Chicago situation, but as a whole in the United States. But this is mostly my advice to all the Indonesian community. Firstly, before looking at other people or other party, so let's look at ourselves. What are our involvement and contribution to mitigate these hate crimes? So I have explained about those 3 points need to be considered. I tried to relate this or connect this with what is the last question about 4th of July. So we have to still thinking about it. That the first thing. And the secondly, what is our involvement of the Indonesian or diaspora Indonesia in terms of trying to mitigate or dismantle this kind of situation? Because like in my town here, I was surprised when I asked to the local police how many police officer is Indonesian race. They told me 0. It is very surprisingly it is very surprisingly. And then also about when I asked if somebody, the Indonesian, want to report the police, do you have language assistance from for the Indonesian? They said none. So means why we don't try to involve in this kind of situation? Maybe Pak Tangkar can this also put as one a program how to involve the Indonesian, especially the diaspora, to become a police officer, language assistant, or whatever. But this can be a part of the local service or public servant. So anytime when we have problem for the Indonesian, we have somebody who can help us. I don't know about the Chicago. If I ask this question to my sister Sonia, do you have Indonesian officer in your Chicago police officer? How many? And do you have language assistant if there is an Indonesian report about the case? I'm not sure it is, you will have the answer. So this is not the responsibility of the local government, but also us as the Indonesian to make it happen. And I would like also to share about one thing about one, how we call it, like a commission in New York City. They have what they call it AATP, Anti-Asian Task Force. So they make this kind of task force. It is in the New York City, and but this commission also comprised of police from the New York Police Department, and also some Asian communities also involved in this commission. So if we can also establish this in Chicago or in another state under the supervision of the Chicago Consular General, that would be very good. That is my additional comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Ari. So, Detective French, are you able to answer question by Pak Ari, Mr. Ari?
Yes. So first I'd like to talk, I talked a little bit about in my presentation about the language access line. Every police officer on the street has a cell phone now, and on that cell phone, all they have to do is push the app And it gives every language that is spoken. But the minute we touch the language that is spoken, a live person comes on the line that speaks that language. And so it doesn't matter what time of day it is or where your location is. It's not specific to just one part of the city. This is the entire Chicago Police Department that now has it. We also you asked about filing a police report. If you call 911, we have also a translator line there as well. So we can actually get that information. We just have to identify what language is actually being spoken. When you come to the Chicago Police District, we have a sheet that identifies all of the different languages. All you have to do is point to the language that you speak, and then we will get somebody on the line to assist in taking that police report as well. So I am very happy with where our department is moving in order for us to assist our different communities and provide police services to them as well. So that's really exciting. I think you asked a second question, and I can't remember what your other question was that you asked me. So
Okay.
if,
Do you have Indonesian police officer in your unit?
in my unit, no, I do not have an Indonesian police officer. My unit is actually very small. There are only 4 investigators here for all of the hate crimes that happen in the city of Chicago, and all of the complaints that come in that we investigate. However, the city of Chicago is recruiting, and I put in the chat line, please feel free to apply. We're looking for police officers. We would love to have Indonesian police officers out there. However, what I will like to say, in certain communities in Chinatown, we do have officers that speak Chinese. If you don't, and something else that we didn't add, the 9th district, that's the 9th district police station that Chinatown is located in. We have officers that speak Chinese that come out twice a week and set up not in the police station, but at the library. And if you don't speak the language, they will take your police report off site as well. So we're starting to have a lot more programs off site, satellite, in order to get police reports actually done in different languages. So as we see a need for a community and we know things are happening in those communities, we start dedicating those resources to those areas. And that is why it is so important that crime gets reported, so we know where to put those resources and what the communities actually need.
Thank you for explanation.
Okay.
Excellent. So I hope that those response will satisfy Ibu Ria. And if we can have a quick jump on the question about the 4th of July strategy, if Detective Friends would like to answer it.
Those types of questions, my department does not allow me to answer. Those are for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bosses. So I apologize for that. I would love to answer that for you, but I am not allowed to answer those types of questions.
Yeah, understood. So since we have already set our time, could we have one more quick question from our colleague here, Mr. Martino, please?
Yes, thank you so much. This webinar is very informative and useful. This is a must for community to know about and to be well informed. My last question here, hopefully this is not the hardest one, because maybe some audience wants to know also. Some speaker mentioned about U visa and the relationship with the hate crime. Probably a brief explanation about U visa. Yeah, because it's maybe some people doesn't really know about it. Thank you so much.
Is it about U visa?
U visa.
Okay.
Because of the crime.
Okay. So anyone from the speakers would like to answer the question?
I wasn't able to hear the question, actually.
Yeah, Mr. Norman, it is about U visa. U visa. It is actually given to the foreigner who become a victim of a crime in the United States. Sometimes they have like privilege to get the status of the permanent resident. So do you have any comment? But honestly, for my side, I have no comment because I'm not from the immigration to answer about this.
Mhm. Well, I've had experience with the U visa here in Chicago, where we had a victim that was undocumented, and she cooperated with the police, and through the police department, we were able to process her, and now she's got legal status. And one thing that's new is that now through our office at the Commission on Human Relations, if anybody believes that they've been a victim, they can come to us because, and this is brand new, and I don't, I'm still learning the details about it, but we're probably going to be able to process that. But that's still new. But I know that through the police department, the ones that I've worked with have been through the police department, and there's also other agencies out there that do process that with the proper documentation. But I'm sure that you have to have some sort of report from the police in order to get that going.
Okay, thank you, Mr. White. Dr. Friends, you would like to add to that question?
I don't have anything to add to that. That is a case by case, and although we will put everything together and we work together with the commission. We also work with immigration status, but that is not guaranteed for every victim. Every situation is different. So it really depends on the circumstances of the case, and that's something that we can't promise. We do the best that we can to assist victims of crimes and victims who are undocumented, but that's not something that we offer all of the time for our victims.
Okay, thank you. So that wrap up our webinar today. But before I close our webinar, let me summarize in brief what's been discussed. So hate crimes happen through history. Hate crimes are often especially brutal or injurious and can make the victim feel traumatized and terrified. For the police to be able to work effectively, the community and the police must work together by reporting a crime, providing information on a crime. In order to avoid hate crimes, people should not take action or behaviors that can trigger hate crimes, such as not traveling alone, not wearing excessive clothing, and avoiding crowded places. Chicago is still a safe city regarding the hate crimes, but have taken precautionary measures to ensure that it won't happen in the future. Chicago authorities are working together with the different ASEAN communities to address this matter, and programs has been conducted by the CBD to assist communities. If anyone has been a victim of hate crime, please do not afraid to report it to the law enforcement, to the city of Chicago, or to the embassy or the Indonesian consulate nearby. So that would be our summary or the closing for our webinar this afternoon. I thank you very much for our distinguished officials here, our Consul General, Mr. Martin Utangkar from the Indonesian Diaspora Network, USA, our distinguished resource persons, Commissioner Nancy Andrade, my brother, Mr. Norman White, our beloved Detective French, and of course, our beloved police attaché in Washington DC, Pak Ari. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you very much. You've been giving a very informative presentation, and well done to all of you guys. A big round of applause for us. And also to all participants who've been with us throughout this afternoon, wherever you are. I mean, in all over America and also from Indonesia who've been following this program. I really appreciate your time and also your active participation in this webinar. I hope that you will find this webinar useful, and I'm looking forward to see you again in our next webinar. So stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy. Thank you very much. Thank you, Deputy Friends. Thank you, Norman. Pak Ari, terima kasih banyak, Pak. Bapak Ibu sekalian, terima kasih banyak.
Sama-sama, Pak.